In case you didn't get a chance to look at the bios on the page, I'll just introduce our performance today. Jennifer Wrigley is from Orkney, islands a little bit north of the mainland of Scotland. She's internationally recognized as one of the leading fiddle players and composers to come out of Scotland in recent years. And her style reflects musicianship passed down from her heroes, including traditional players from Orkney with its Scandinavian influence. Laurence is also from Orkney. He's inspired by the fiddling of his father and grandfather, who led the Orkney's West Mainland Spey and Reel Society in the 1960s, which immersed him in traditional styles of piano playing. So let's give a big silent applause to welcome Jennifer and Laurence. Thank you very much for being here.
Hello. Thank you for having us. It's lovely to see so many familiar faces. I want to say hello to every single one. So hello to everybody. And it's lovely to be here to play for you tonight or this afternoon, depending on where you are. We're going to start off with a little jig that's one of our favourites, and it comes from Orkney. It comes from the island of Graemsay, and it's called the Graemsay jig, for want of a better name. And then we're going to do the Twos, which is another Orkney tune by Ronnie, and then we're going to play Edwin Flaws of Wyre. Edwin Flaws was an accordion player from the island of Wyre in Orkney. So all Orkney ones to start us off. Okay. 1, 2. Thank you ever so much. It's lovely to see you all clapping. We'll not be testing you to see if you've been clapping. Those are our first set of tunes, and the last one, of course, I should have said that the last one I should have said was written by Freeland Barbour, who isn't actually from Orkney, but he's almost an honorary Orcadian accordionist. Very well known in Orkney. So we're going to do another tune that has Graemsay connections. If you've never been to Graemsay, then you should, because it's a great place to go. They're a wild lot, so you have to sort of have your wits about you. But this next tune was written by Laurence's dad, and it's one of our favourites. We play it a lot. It's called the Hattie Mannery. The Hattie Mannery is like a sort of, I don't know if you've heard of the Old Man of Hoy, which is like a cliff stack in Hoy that sometimes people park cars on and try and sell them on the TV adverts. Well, the Hattie Mannery overlooks Hoy and is similar to the Old Man of Hoy, except not quite so ostentatious, a bit smaller. I don't think the people in Graemsay would be as big for their boots as the folk in Hoy to have the Old Man, which is much bigger. So the Hattie Mannery is like a sort of small cliff stack. How
No idea.
how tall would it be?
Anyway, you can climb onto it quite easily.
Well, you can.
When you're 12 anyway.
So maybe Laurence's dad could put in the chat, or Bryce could put in the chat what height, because I'm sure you know exactly what height it is from experience. So that's the first tune. It's called the Hattie Mannery, and the second one is one I wrote very recently for Hot off the press, yeah. And it's for some fantastic friends of mine that live, well, both of ours that live in South Ronaldsay in a place called Hestily, and it's called the Hestily Hornpipe. So that's for them. So we'll do the Hattie Mannery and the Hestily Hornpipe. We'll be testing you on the names of these tunes afterwards. thank you very much. Thank you for that one. That was for Andy and Joan, Andy Mitchell and Joan Maynard. Okay, we're going to do something a bit slower now. So you sit back and relax. And this is a tune that I composed. I don't know, I think it was about 2011, something like that. So it's actually quite a long time ago now when you think about it. So both Laurence and I grew up playing in Orkney and were heavily involved with the Orkney Strathspey and Reel Society, which is a group that still meets, although I think they maybe have just started meeting again every Thursday night in Kirkwall. And it was full of fantastic fiddle players, and there were quite a few not so good fiddle players as well. But they were the wicked ones, the ones that were great fun. And we were just very fortunate really to have such fantastic memories of all these older players. And you know, in last night's concert, I don't know if you saw it with Ingrid and Ian, and if you didn't, you definitely, I recommend that you watch that, because it'll be available online, and it was excellent. And they spoke as well about some of the older players that they were so lucky to get to be influenced by. So the Strathspey and Reel played a huge part in our upbringing. I'm surprised we haven't lost our teeth and got flat caps by now, because that was the thing that you had to have to be in the Strathspey and Reel. And mostly a sense of humour. So the current leader of the Orkney Strathspey and Reel Society, a man called Ian Kirkness, asked me if I would write a tune for his mother and father, his mum and dad, who were celebrating their golden wedding anniversary. And of course I was honoured and wrote a tune for them, and it's called James and Emilie Kirkness. So that's what we're going to play for you, and it's for anybody who's been married for 50 years or would like to be married for 50 years, or maybe doesn't want to be married anymore. Anyway, it's a sort of optimistic love tune. The sad thing about the tune, of course, is that maybe about a week after their 50th anniversary, Emilie sadly passed away, so they just made it to 50 years. But this is the tune. It's called James and Emilie Kirkness. Thank you ever so much. Thank you. So after James and Emilie Kirkness there, we played some Strathspeys. The first one was Earl Grey by James Hill from Gateshead, Dundee stroke Gateshead, and then we did The Strynd, it's called, 2 Orkney ones by the same composer, a lovely, amazing, inspirational fiddle player called Hugh Inkster, who we used to listen to and have laughs with a lot when we were both PD, and the first one was called The Strynd and the second one was called El Adhem. The Strynd is a kind of pedestrian walkway where it all happens in Kirkwall. And, you know, at the one end of the Strynd is the council offices where all the big decisions are made. And at the other end of the Strynd is a couple of telephone boxes. Although I think they might have got rid of them by now. But it's an important place where you go to see all the important people making all the big decisions in Orkney. And lovely tunes, certainly some of our favourite. Right, we're going to play you a couple of jigs now. We're very impressed at your attire as well coming up to the concert. You all look great. We were just talking earlier because there's a very important event tonight that apparently we're all missing.
Oh, the BAFTAs. Sorry about that. BAFTAs. Some of you won't understand what that is. It's the British something television awards. So.
But you have to get dressed up, so we've obviously all made the effort. But we're both very pleased that you chose us over the BAFTAs. So we're going to play you a jig that comes from Deerness. It's actually spelt Deerness. It's where I grew up on the East Mainland of Orkney. But in Deerness you say Deerness. It's not Deerness, it's Deerness. So it's the Deerness jig. We're going to play one of our favourites, and then we're going to do another one that I've just not long composed, and it was for a very good lovely friend called Davy Sinclair, who plays the fiddle, and he was celebrating a big birthday, and I can't say which one because it might embarrass him, but it was a big birthday, and so I wrote a tune for him, and it's called Sinclair's Chig. So that's what we're going to play for you next, and please feel free to do some dancing. You know, you can do whatever you want in your own homes.
you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. After all that excitement, you have to write a fast tune like that for someone who's having an older birthday. We'll not say any more than that. So we're going to do another. Well, we haven't done it yet, but it's a Scottish one by. We've got two Scott Skinner ones for you tonight, but this one is one of our favourites again. Scott Skinner, of course, was, you know, I was going to say outstanding, but he was sort of upside down standing when he was playing the fiddle, and he was a massive, massive fiddle playing star. Famous, of course, for standing on his head playing the fiddle with his kilt on, which we're not going to be doing for you. Maybe it makes the tunes easier, I don't know, because he played very difficult tunes and wrote some amazingly beautiful tunes and was famous for writing harmonies. I think he wrote over 600 tunes. And when Scott Skinner died, it would be in about the 1940s, I think, 60,000 people lined the streets of Aberdeen for his funeral. So he was a proper fiddle playing star. And this is one of his less ostentatious fiddle tunes that he wrote, and it's called The Music of the Spey. Thank you very much. Right, something a little bit more upbeat now. We're going to do some hornpipes. the first is called the Poppy Leaf, and then we're going to do the Fiddler's Cramp, fingers crossed, and then we're going to do the Beeswing Hornpipe, which is another one by James Hill from Gateshead, and then we're going to do 2 Orkney hornpipes written by a man called Chimmy Johnstone, who was also from Deerness and was known as Chibik o' Merland, because that's where he lived, at Merland, which was just at the bottom of the road where I grew up. And the first is called the Orkney Isles Hornpipe, followed by Toe Reed, who was another man from Deerness that worked at the farm Braybuster. Then we're going to do another Scott Skinner one. And no, we're not going to stand on our heads for it either. Scott Skinner was quite intelligent, really. He was always writing tunes for posh, notable people, just like me, really, with the ones that I've written. And he wrote this one for another sort of very posh lady. And you get a lot of gigs if you write tunes for posh people. So this one is called Madame Neruda, and she sounds sophisticated, doesn't she? All I can say is that
I think she was a fiddle player too.
I think she maybe was. Yeah. She was a fiddle player and a madam. And I would say if her tune's anything to go by, she was a bit tricky. Thank you ever so much. Phooey. I noticed to the Alex, hi Alex, was saying that Madame Neruda was the wife of the conductor or the leader of the Harley Orchestra. It's disappeared now along the thing, so certainly worth a few brownie points if you write for the wife of the Harley Orchestra leader. So whooey. Oh, it's been a privilege to be asked to play. Thank you, Ed, for organising it, and it's lovely to be involved. And I did a workshop earlier, and we did an Orkney tune in that, and I'm hoping that there'll be lots of pretty half Orcadian Americans playing the old polka. I forgot to tell them that it's not the old polka, it's the old polka. Big difference. So we're going to do from Deerness again. Probably one of my biggest inspirations for playing the fiddle was a man called Davy Unson, and Davy was a very, very brilliant fiddle player. He made over 100 fiddles. He was a boat builder, a poet, a singer, and he wrote loads of tunes as well. He was famous for playing in Deerness with his wife Violet, who played along with him on the piano. And when you went to Davy's house, he was a farmer, and he had a small Orkney croft with the flag floors and the stone wall, which was full of fiddles, all different fiddles that he'd either made or had passed down to him from his uncle and such like that taught him to play the fiddle. He had a tin fiddle, he had a brass fiddle, he had some Hardanger fiddles that he'd made, the Norwegian Hardanger fiddles. He had obviously his own fiddle, he had a fiddle that was made out of a fishing buoy, an orange float, a fishing float. And the thing I remember about going there when I was little is that he would just say, which fiddle do you want to have a shot at? And he would let me have a shot, and then we'd go into the shed where he made the fiddles, and he'd have a half-made fiddle on the bench, and he'd give me the hammer and the chisel and say, have a little shot. And as a 12-year-old, I was a bit terrified I was going to wreck this beautiful fiddle, but he was a truly inspirational guy. And from Deerness, where we both were, you can see 5 lighthouses on the horizon from Deerness, because it's obviously, on Colponsea and the Skerries and such like, and all the lighthouses go with a different rhythm. The lights go, so you know which lighthouse it is that you're looking at. And of course, up until probably, would it been the 80s or the 70s, most of these lighthouses were manned, and now of course all automatic, but they were manned. And Davy was sitting at home on a wild night, seeing these lights go in and thinking about these watchmen that were sitting in these lighthouses when everybody else was tucked up nice and warm, but they were keeping everybody safe. So the first tune is called The Watchman's Polka. And then we're going to do another one that was by a fantastic fiddle player who used to go to the Strathspey and reel as well as Davy, called Pat Scherer. And Pat Scherer was a absolute scream, played the fiddle. He was brilliant fun. One of his best tricks was picking his nose with his false teeth while he was playing the fiddle. And you can imagine when we were PD, that got our attention. But he was also a brilliant fiddle player, and he wrote this tune for his dad, Tom Scherer, who was one of the few remaining weavers left on the island of Strynd. And so it's called the Strynd Weaver, and you should be able to hear the little weaving, the tr of the weaving in there. And then we're going to do one by Irene Fleck that won the tune writing competition, called Irene's Reel. She must have really been struggling to think of a name, but she still won. So it's called Irene's Reel, and then we'll finish off with a fairy dance. You can't go wrong with a fairy dance, can you? So as I say, it's been a privilege and a pleasure, and I'm sure Laurence is nodding in agreement.
Absolutely, yeah, thank you.
Thank you for listening, thank you for coming, and we'll finish off with these ones. Is it now time to tune the fiddle?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That